the way we all see money are not the same. Like I said in my previous videos, we have three classes of people in the society. We have the rich, we have the middle class, and we have the lower class. Now, these three classes of people in every social stratification in the society, they have different ways in which they actually see money. They don't see money in the same way. Now, for an average broke person, he sees money as a tool to buy cars or a house or going on a fanciful or expensive vacation. But for the middle class, they see money as a tool that needed to be saved or needed to be protected. In other words, for these people, they don't believe in buying houses or buying expensive cars or going on expensive vacation. They actually believe that they've worked really very hard. They needed not to waste the money. And what can they do? They need to save the money. So they save the money, they protect the money, and at the end of the day, the money is not creating any value for them. The money is not creating or working for them. The money is not having what I call a multiplier effect for them. And don't forget that money is actually a tool that needed to be put into operation. You don't need to make your money to be stagnant. You don't need to make your money not to work for you. You don't need to make your money not to create value for you. So for you to actually become very rich, your money needed to be working for you. But on the part of the middle class, they don't invest the money. They don't put the money into operation, but rather they save the money and they protect that money for working there very hard. On the part of the rich individuals or the upper class in society, the way they think about money is quite different from the middle class or the lower class. For an average rich person in society, they see money as a magnet whose sole purpose is meant to attract more money. So for the wealthy class, they put money into operation because they actually understand that money is a tool, and as a tool, it does not like to be stagnant, but needed to be put into operation. And that is why for the rich class, they actually invest the money. They have what I call financial education, and they know the principle of what it entails to go through the decade of sacrifice. And that is why money is actually working for them. Money is reproducing for them. Money is creating more value for them. And they are making more money every day. Don't forget, we are actually in a capitalist-oriented economic system where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. But irrespective of your position or social stratification in the society, you can still see yourself at the level of the upper class, depending on your level of financial education and also depending on your mindset and the way you see money. For you to become rich, for you to become wealthy, for you to have financial freedom, for you to have financial abundance, you need to start thinking like the rich. You need to avoid thinking like the poor or the middle class that gets the money and spends the money, or believes that money is actually a tool that improves their credit scores in order for them to have more access to loan facility. You need to think like the rich in order to become like the rich. We are now in a society where a lot of people are actually working tediously night and day. They are working very hard, 365 days in a year, they are not getting anything. It is not a spiritual problem. So there is a difference between working hard and thinking like a rich person. You can be working hard and still be poor. You can be working tediously and don't have any money in your bank account. You can be working tediously and you don't have any level of financial investment. You may be working night and day and there is nothing to show for it. So we are now in a situation where it is not how hardworking you are or how strong you are, but how smart you are. It is not all about working really hard. It's all about working smartly. We are now in an economic system that for you to actually prosper, for you to actually have financial freedom, you need to work smartly as opposed to working harder. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying it is not good to work hard, but sometimes you need to work smartly. The rich are getting richer every day because they work smart as opposed to working hard. A lot of us still live in what I call the frequency of illusion. I know this may sound very strange or very new to a lot of us, but what's actually the frequency of illusion? The frequency of illusion occurs when we see more of what we think about. A lot of us, we think a lot, but but in most cases, we are not thinking productively. Your frequency of illusion can actually become a reality of what you are thinking about. What you actually think about is what you are going to see more of at the end of the day. So you need to be careful of what we think about in most cases. You see, a lot of us actually wish for a lot of things, but you need to be careful of what you actually wish for at the end of the day. What this is saying is that what you think more in most cases can actually affect your life positively or negatively. When you focus more on what is wrong in your life, you see more problem. In other words, stop focusing more on what is wrong. Stop focusing more on negative aspects. Stop focusing more on negativity, but rather focus more on what is actually positive. Because the reflection of what you think will always come into reality at the end of the day. So what the frequency of illusion is saying is that when we focus more on what is wrong in our life, we are going to see more negativity and not positivity. When we focus more on opportunities and success, we see more opportunities in life. And that is the reality of life. Because when we change our mindset, when we have a positive mindset, we begin to see opportunities around us. We begin to see success around us. And that's what distinguishes the rich from the lower class and the middle class. The rich people or rich individuals, they see opportunities around them. They see positivity around them. They see success around them. But on the part of the middle class and the lower class, they see more of frequency of illusions on negativity. And in most cases, what they think about will always come into reality in their life. So you need to start thinking like the rich. You need to start acting like the rich. You need to start doing like the rich. You need to start talking like the rich. You need to change your mindset. You need to change the way you think about money. You need to change or transform yourself from the level of knowing nothing into the level of having high level of financial education. And what does that entail? The question is, do they actually teach us all these things in schools? Schools will not teach you. Your school will not teach you on how to become rich. Your school will not teach you on how to become wealthy. Your school will not teach you on how to become successful in life. But you can actually get all these things when you have financial education. And how do you get a financial education? You can get financial education by watching a program like this. You can get financial education by listening to podcasts. You can get financial education by reading a lot of books. Because the more you read, the more you enlighten yourself. But unfortunately, in our own part of the world, people don't like reading. They prefer to watch things that people are dancing and doing things that are not profitable or that cannot give them any value at the end of the day. So you need to start seeing things from a positive angle and not a negative angle. For you to be successful, you need to change your mindset before you can begin to see success around you. So you need to develop a positive mindset for you to be able to see success around you. There's always success around us. It is all encompassing. By the time you live your life, your right, you look into your left, you see success around you. But what is actually limiting you is your frequency of illusion. What are you actually thinking about? Because what you actually think about is what you see at the end of the day. Some people even believe that rich people are ritualists, rich people are bad people, rich people are cheaters, rich people are evil, and they are not supposed to be mingled with. But you need to understand that not all rich people are evil. Not all wealthy people are bad people. And for that reason, you need to learn how they actually do their things for them to actually make more money for themselves. What are we saying here? It is very, very simple. It is all about investment. It's all about putting your money into operation. It is all about making your money to work for you. There is no magic about it. When we begin to see people from a negative perspective, that they are bad people, ritualists, or wrong people, or cheaters, or people that are actually making more wealth at the end of the day at the expense of the majority, we can always or be a stumbling block to our own success. Your success, your ability to succeed, your ability to become wealthy, your ability to become rich is actually in your own end. And that is why you need to change your mindset about money and equip yourself with high level of financial education, and also learning how the rich are making their money. If you think like the rich and do what they are actually doing, there is every possibility they are going to be rich. So start thinking like the rich and start doing things that the rich are doing. We're not saying that you should engage yourself in dubious activities. What they are simply doing is that they are making their money to work for them. Start making your money to work for you. Start investing your money. Start making your money to create value for you. And how do you make your money to create value for you? Once you get that money, split that money into 3 parts. Systemize your money. Put your money into spending, saving, and investment. The money you save is for emergency. The money you spend is for miscellaneous. And the money you invest is actually for wealth creation. You have the option today of either blaming people around you, blaming the government, blaming your neighbor, blaming your family, blaming the society for the predicament. But on the other hand, the society, the government, your family is not responsible for the position you find yourself today. And you need to know that when you blame everybody, when you blame the sun, the moon, everybody in society, those in your villages as being responsible for your problem, it does not stop the problem, but rather you become stuck in the problem. What you need to do is to actually look for a solution to the problem rather than blaming everybody in society for your problem. Instead of you to blame the sun, the moon, the government, the society, the family, and everybody around you for your problem, you can actually take ownership and responsibility of your action. In other words, your actions, your responsibility, your reactions and everything, you need to take ownership for them. That is, you must be responsible for yourself. Stop blaming other people around you for your predicament. But rather, take ownership and take responsibility and take the bull by the run by changing your situation. You cannot see opportunities when you engage yourself in the blame game. Because when opportunities are actually passing by, you are busy complaining every time. So stop complaining, but rather look for a solution on how you can actually escape from the rat race, on how you can actually escape from the high level of indebtedness, on how you can actually better your life, on how you can actually engage yourself in achieving financial freedom for yourself. When we engage in the playing game, we find it difficult for us to find opportunities or to seek opportunities around us. They are always around us. But when you are engaged in a playing game, you may never see these opportunities. Those that are actually making money today in our society are actually the investors. Don't forget that the society in which we are today is characterized by high level of inflation. In Nigeria today, inflation stands at 20%, 20 point something percent in Nigeria now. Now, the interest rate in Nigeria now is about 38%. That means that borrowing money in Nigeria, taking loan in Nigeria is actually a suicide mission compared to advanced countries where the interest rate is about 2 point something percent. For example, 2.5% in the United States, in Canada, 2.5% in Canada. The same thing in US and the same thing in other European countries where the interest rate is actually lower. So if you are borrowing money in our own developing society today, you are going to pay more money. And that is why for you to actually become rich and wealthy, you need to start thinking like an investor. So irrespective of the high level of inflation, irrespective of the high level of interest rate, it does not affect investment. So if you want to escape the rat race, if you want to become wealthy, if you want to become rich, then you need to start investing today and be thinking like the rich, as opposed to thinking like the middle class or the lower class. Because when you talk about the lower class, they get the money, they spend the money. When you talk about the middle class, they get the money to increase their credit scores in order for them to have access to more credit facilities. You also need to know that building wealth takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of hard work. Now, what do I mean by a lot of time? It's actually a decade of sacrifice. And how does it take a lot of hard work? It it is something that you need to build. It is something that you have to be resilient, you have to be pragmatic, you have to be disciplined, you have to be result oriented, you have to have or develop what I call a positive mindset. You need to believe in yourself. You can act that you can actually achieve it. You cannot achieve this without having resiliency, without being determined, without being disciplined, without being pragmatic, without being result oriented. Based on this, building wealth actually takes a lot of what I call decade of sacrifice. And when you talk about a decade of sacrifice, what we're simply saying here is that for you to build wealth, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. It is something that you have to be doing on regular basis, every month for the next 10 years or 5 years at minimum. When you actually start, it looks very small. It looks as if it is insignificant. It looks as if it is not going to have any effect. But if you are continuous over time, you are going to achieve your whims and caprices. I can remember when I actually started, some few years back, I started with something minimal, about 200,000 or thereabout. But today, that money is substantial. So for you to actually build wealth, it is something that you have to do consistently, and you have to be disciplined. You need to avoid ostentatious lifestyle. You need to avoid extravagant lifestyle, and you need to avoid unnecessary spending. So I'm actually employing you today to avoid the scarcity mindset and the broke mindset that it is not possible. You need to believe in what I call the yes I can. You need to seek possibility where there is no possibility. You need to seek positivity where there is a negativity. You need to change your mindset. You need to change the way you think about money. You need to start thinking like the rich. And you need to do what they are actually doing. And what they are actually doing is not actually very difficult or very tedious or something that you cannot do. It's just about when you are actually resilient. That thing they're actually doing that is making them to make more money in the society today is because they are actually investing their money. So investment is a key to wealth creation, through what I call a decade of sacrifice. In a nutshell, what I'm always saying here is that you must embrace the growth mindset. The growth mindset will catapult you. The growth mindset will elevate you. The growth mindset will bring you up. The growth mindset will help you achieve something that seems to be impossible. And you need patience as well, because the decade of sacrifice is something that takes time and it takes hard work. So if you want to achieve success today, if you want to achieve greatness today, if you want to achieve financial independence, if you want to achieve wealth, if you want to be rich, if you want to belong to the upper class in society in terms of social stratification, then you need to know that your mindset needs to change. You need to know that you must avoid the scarcity mindset. Then you need to know that you need to avoid what I call the broke mindset. Then you need to know that you need to embrace what I call the growth mindset. Because the growth mindset will actually create wealth for you at the end of the day. I believe you've actually gained something in this video. If you have gained something by watching this video, please subscribe to this channel now. Till I see you next time, thank you so much.